What's going on, guys? My name is Mr. Hurricane, and everyone wants to know, who is my NCAA Football 14 Dynasty team? Well, I'm not sure yet, but I have it narrowed down now to 4 teams, and I've been putting a lot of thought into this decision because it's a series I plan on doing for the entire year and until NCAA 15 comes out. And I wanted a different challenge this year than I did in NCAA 13. Last year I took UTSA, a team that was one of the lowest rated teams in the game, and I've brought them up to a 77 overall, and they're one of the better teams in Conference USA. Now in NCAA Football 14, I want to take a team that's in a larger conference, and is starting out with an overall rating kind of in the high 70s, lower 80s. It's still going to be a project. It's always going to be a project with me. And I've narrowed it down now to my final 4 teams. And there is a link in the description to a poll where you can go vote for which team you would like for me to play as. But I will let you know now that the poll is not going to be the final decision on who my team is going to be. Basically, the poll is a way for me to see who wants me to be what team without having to count comments. It's a lot easier this way. And basically, I'm just trying to gauge your interest and see, okay, a lot of people want me to be these 2 teams, so I'm going to make my final decision out of these 2 teams. And it's just, I'm trying to make the right decision here, and so I'm trying to gauge some interest, and then I'll see what the right decision is. And this is exactly what I did last year for my Raiders CCM. I put a vote out there, and the Raiders were only the 3rd most popular vote, but I still took them because a lot of people were interested, and I really wanted to be them. And so leave your vote there, and leave your comments in the comment section. What I'll likely do is I'll narrow down the teams I consider based on the vote, and then I'll read comments that try to sway me one way or another, and then I'll make my final decision, likely in a live stream later this week. I'll definitely be announcing that, so don't worry, I'm not going to just, do it out of the blue. And I'll let the poll get some votes over the course of a few days, and then I'll make my decision, and we'll start a new series. So, let me lay out, you guys, the final 4 teams for the Mr. Hurricane NCAA Football 14 Dynasty Series. Number 1. The Cal Golden Bears, representing the Pac-12 Conference. And the Cal Golden Bears are an 84 overall team with an 86 overall offense, an 83 overall defense, and 19 players ranked higher than an 80 overall. Why am I considering Cal? Because they play in the Pac-12, one of the most entertaining conferences in the NCAA. There is a ton of competition in this conference, and in my first year I would be playing Oregon, Oregon State, Stanford, Washington, Washington State, and Ohio State representing the Big Ten. And now when we look at this team, we see that they have a young quarterback as a starter, which means that if I recruited somebody, they may not start until, a few years down the road. But look at their receiving core. There are 3 sophomores that headline this core, and they are the future of this offense. There is a lot of young talent here, and it's just waiting to become an elite receiving unit. And this could become a very scary offense. And so if I take over the Cal Bears, most of my scouting and recruiting will be taking place to fix the offensive line and to improve the defensive side of the ball. I need to get some impact players on defense to stop teams like Oregon if I play against USC. It's a very competitive conference, and so despite the talent that's young on the receiving side, there's still work to do, and Cal's not ranked yet. None of the teams I'm considering for this decision are ranked. And so if I pick Cal, I could be looking at a very fun receiving core in the future, and I'd be playing in a very fun conference with a lot of competition. But now, team number 2. The Cincinnati Bearcats from the American Athletic Conference. Cincinnati has come on strong in recent years, and they were one of the best teams in the Big East. They've won back-to-back bowl games, but there is still work to do. In 2009, they lost the Orange Bowl to Virginia Tech. In 2010, they lost the Sugar Bowl to Florida. I would be looking to build this team and potentially move them out of the American Athletic Conference and into a conference like the ACC. Take a look at their roster. Their top 2 quarterbacks are both about to graduate, and they don't have a lot of standout talent on offense, which means I could bring in some recruits and have a lot of impact molding this offense in the first few years. I would definitely put a lot of work into recruiting for the receiving core to help build them up to be able to take on some of those top teams, and their defense also needs a bit of work. In my first year, I'd be playing teams like UConn, Houston, Louisville, Purdue, and Illinois. And on paper, Cincinnati is an 81 overall team with an 81 overall offense and an 83 overall defense, with 14 players 80 overall or higher and 1 player 90 overall or higher. There is still a lot of work to do building this team, and I would be intrigued with the idea of moving them into the ACC. Now, team number 3, the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And right off the bat, this team is probably the closest team I could find to maybe pick up where I left off with my UTSA Dynasty. With UTSA, I left off with a 77 overall team and 6 players 80 overall or higher. Minnesota has a 79 overall team and 7 players 80 overall or higher. This team needs help. Their offense is not going to scare anybody, but they do have a young quarterback now in place to mold and build this offense around. If I were to be Minnesota, I would expect my recruits on offense to definitely have a chance to play early and to make an impact. The defense is the strength of this team, but they lack depth. In the Big Ten, they have rivalries with Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, and Penn State, and there's still other teams like Nebraska and Ohio State and Michigan State to play against. And the Big Ten is just a very competitive conference, and Minnesota needs some help competing again. They haven't won a bowl game since 2004 when they beat Alabama in the Music City Bowl, and a lot has changed since then. And now the final team, the Texas Tech Red Raiders from the Big 12. 84 overall team, 90 overall offense, and 82 overall defense. 18 players ranked 80 overall or higher, and 1 player ranked 90 overall or higher. There are a lot of tough teams in the Big 12, and in the first year alone, I'd be playing against Texas, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Baylor, TCU, West Virginia, and a little throwback to the UTSA Dynasty, playing against Texas State. Texas Tech has fallen off a little bit in recent years, and they haven't finished above 500 in conference since 2009. They have a young, talented group of quarterbacks, there's some room to create a strong receiving core to contend in the Big 12, and the defense needs some work, especially in the secondary. But I would have a pretty good offensive line off the start, and a pretty good front 7 with some potential in the receiving core. And so that, guys, is my final 4 for NCAA Football 14 Dynasty Mode. Leave your vote on the poll, which the link is in the description, and also leave your thoughts in the comment section. I really want to know what you guys think. I want you guys to help me pick up these final 4 teams to figure out who I'm going to be for the next year. And so once again, the choices are Cal, who was 3-9 last year, 2-7 in conference. Cincinnati, who was 9-3, 5-2 in conference with a bowl victory over Duke. Minnesota, who was 6-6, 2-6 in conference, lost to Texas Tech in the bowl game, and Texas Tech was 7-5, 4-5 in conference, and they beat the Gophers. So leave your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to vote, and I'll have my decision made by the end of the week. And I'm going to make my decision in a live stream. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you later. Have a great day.